a couple of hours later in the same day, but it is still the same day. I need to get this motor torn down, so we're going to jump with that, take off the tappet cover, take off the head, and then obviously, well, the tappet cover, and we're going to take out the cam side, take off the head, and then check what the pistons look like, see what the valves look like, and then sub-assembly, check the bearings and all those things. So yeah, let's get into it. Sorry, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. It's starting to cool down outside. We are in a fairly decent part of the winter already. So yeah, I done my little errands and what stuff I needed to do. So yeah, let's jump into it. Oh. Let me just get my spline set here. As you can see, I've already taken off the intake and exhaust manifold, and I've given it a bit of a wash with a pressure cleaner so that it's not so dirty to work with, because it was fairly oily. Looks like this front cam seal was losing some oil, which is making a mess. Well, it made a mess, so we'll have to go and change that out. Curious to see what it looks like inside. Suspecting it's going to be very mucky and very dirty for 362,000 kilos. It's not too bad. I have seen worse. Let me give you guys a quick squiz inside. Now how much you can see. It's fairly, but it's looking fairly okay. Get it back in the stand. Let's get this head. Well, let's take this cam part off. Head bolts are torqued nicely. Sorry if you guys are shaking around a little bit. I put the tripod on the table because my tripod is a little bit short. That one is tight. move my drink here. Don't worry, no beer. It's apple juice. Before I spill it all out. I found some of the exhaust manifold bolts and some of the intake manifold bolts were loose when I actually took them off, which I find strange and which might have caused a bit of a vacuum issue. But on the manifold side, on the exhaust manifold side, I didn't see any leaking on the gasket, so maybe it wasn't so bad there. But on the intake side, yeah, I'm not too sure. Cables are not looking too bad. Don't see any rust or corrosion, which is a good sign. Okay, the front one has got some rust on it. Not too bad, but there's a bit. And this one is looking fine. Alright, let's take this cam card off. I can get a space to leave it up. Seems to be stuck on pretty well. One side that we've got some rust on seems to be giving me some sticky issues. It's a bit dirty. But it looks alright. Cam lobes got some wear on it. But we'll leave that for now. I'm not gonna fiddle too much with that. Lifters, well, rockers are looking fairly okay. Guides off. There we go. Sorry for the coughing, guys. It's that time of the evening where it starts cooling down and it really gets to my chest. Come on, big boy. Free. Yeah. Get this gasket out of the way. Gasket is rusted through. Very bad. Certain places. Interesting how the build up is quite bad. Up at cylinder number 1, 2, 3 and 4 seems to be fairly okay. So we've probably got a buggered valve stem seal up at number 1, causing us to burn excessive oil. Put that down one side. I am interested to know in how these cylinders fared with 361 kilos. Wow, guys. Wow. There's not even a ridge. These cylinders are as smooth as you can get inside. This is amazing. Let me just get a rag. I just want to wipe the cylinders out and then I'll let you guys have a peek as well. A little bit of water inside because I sprayed it down with the pressure cleaner and I didn't put the plugs back in, so the water is inside here. Not that it's an issue because it's coming apart anyway, so any water that's inside will be coming out anyway. I have to get these ports cleaned out. Some of them seem to be half blocked by the by the gasket. Alright, let me just grab you guys there. I just want to turn this motor a little bit so you guys can check down the piston holes with me. Down the sleeves and see how good this motor really looks. 360,000 kilos. It really looks good. Oh boy, light isn't all that great on the camera, but there's no groove, there's no look, there's no nothing. There is absolutely nowhere that I can feel. So I most probably will just run a hone through here just to reseat the new set of rings that's going to be popped in here, and obviously clean the pistons, make it look good again, make it drive good again. Maybe the rings aren't so good anymore. I cannot even move these pistons, so I am feeling comfortable to say that there is most probably no wear whatsoever, and if there is, it is minute. That's why service intervals are very important. Back in the stand. Just try and see if I can bring you guys down a little bit so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, let me just sort out the stand. I'll be back now. Alright, seem to have managed to get you guys into a better spot. Sorry about the light. Light is not the best, but it'll do for now. Let's just get a rag. Some of the oil spots. I don't want to make too much of a mess on my desk here. And just get rid of that oil filter, and then I'll swing it upside down, and we'll check the crank. Down. Alright, let me get some of these spares taken away. Probably have to clean these bolts up and see if they are worthwhile using again. I prefer using new head bolts every time, but it's not always easy on the financial side, but we'll see if we can make a plan with those. Turn this baby upside down. Let's see what the sub-assembly looks like. Oh wait, this thing is puking out oil and water all over the show. Run down to there. Okay, sump needs some hammering. Previous people seem to have not liked the sump a lot. Added a couple extra dents to it. Now to look well in water. It's not fun. guys still able to see. Yeah. Alright. Let's dig into the sub-assembly. Probably use a different socket. This one is a tad too big. That's better. See, somebody's been inside here with a mountain full of silicon. It's puking out all over the sides of the sun cover. So I suppose there's not going to be a sun gasket in there, but most probably just a whole bunch of silicon. And that's rather not cool. Probably a budget repair from the previous owner. The rear main still seem to have held up nicely. They tend to blow out after a while, and then you've got an oily mess. They seem to have lasted quite well. But you can see it's got some issues to it, but it's not leaking. We're going to change that anyway. I don't think the sun is going to come off real easy because all this silicon that's been put into keeping it closed. I reckon it's going to put up a fight. Get a scraper and a hammer. got a gasket. It's got one of those cork gaskets on, but hey, nothing much left of it. It's been squashed to death, and it's been siliconed. I'll have to clean that off and get that back to top shape. Well, pickup doesn't seem to have any debris inside it. Oily gaskets. Alright, I want to give this engine a wee bit of a turn so that I can remove the caps. It's not the correct bolt, but it'll give me some leverage to give it a bit of a turn. I think I should probably dig for the right bolts if they are close by. Nope, but we'll go for plan B. There we go. I want to see how these caps fade. These bearings fade after all this time. And then I'll mark them as they come out. A bit of a tap. Oops. Wow. Let's see what the size are, if they are still original. Yep, still original standard bearings, 362,000 kilos, and let me try and show you guys how good they actually look. They are still shiny inside. There is almost no wear to these little bearings. On the sides here, if you look carefully, let me just try and get it back into the shot. On the side here, it's not showing up nicely on the camera, but there you can see is a little bit. But overall, these bearings are looking darn good for a vehicle that's done so many kilos. I am very, very impressed with how this vehicle is been looked after. Very. Alright guys, well let me continue with taking out the rest of the caps and the pistons and taking out the crankshaft. I'll bring you guys back when when I start with the big ends, I'll start with the mains. I'll bring you guys back, and then we can have a look at them as well, and then I'll do the rest, because I'm quite sure you guys have seen all of this before. I just wanted to show you guys in what good condition this engine actually is, although it's done so many kilos, but still looks good. Crank is looking awesome. It's shiny and clean, no signs of wear, no signs of abuse. So yeah, but we'll be replacing bearings, we'll be replacing seals. If the oil pump isn't too expensive, we'll probably look into changing it out. There's nothing wrong with this oil pump, it's still functioning good. I would like to change it if I can afford to do it at this stage. If not, we'll have to just make note of it and do it at a later stage. But overall, I'm very happy, to say the least, that all the other things are not too bad. Valve stem seals are definitely going to be a change, because it is using oil, and rings most definitely. By the looks of these cylinders, a good hone, and she'll be back up and running in no time. Anyway guys, let me finish up with this, and then I'll get you guys back in a minute or so. Alright guys, I cleaned up the pistons quite nicely. Well, the number one piston that came out, but on it I found a 0.50, so I'm a little bit disappointed, but I suppose it's one of those things. It's been oversized. I was hoping that it was still standard, and that it, if needed to, we could have bored it out to a little bit bigger, but oh well, it is what it is. I suppose the owner, well, the guy who I traded my bus for, didn't know that it was oversized. But the good thing is we can get some new rings. As you can see, number one piston, the compression rings, if you guys can see, sorry about the light there, number one compression rings are still popping up, but the oil rings are not. So what we'll do is we'll get a new set of rings, oil rings, compression rings, clean out the cylinders, hone them, put these oversized pistons back inside, and get it up and running again. Alright, well, let me continue on this piston removal mission. I'll bring you guys back in a couple of minutes. Okay guys, I am now at this stage of pulling off the cap. We're pulling off number one, which is labeled very clearly. I've got all four pistons out. They are laying on the desk there. The only conclusion I have there is that the oil rings all have seized down. It's actually been a mission to just get them off. I got one set of rings off piston number 4. The oil rings were so jammed inside there, I actually had to use a screwdriver and knock them out with a hammer to try and get them out. So they are definitely stuck. Piston number 2, the second compression ring, is also collapsed. It's loose, it can move, but it's not jumping out. So I definitely had a compression issue, which I could see on the compression test as well. It was definitely a compression issue. Why it died this morning? Okay, well, the cam belt tensioner pulley came loose. I don't see the valves touching the piston. Guys, it's the following day. Last night, while I was busy taking out the crank and talking away. I was actually talking to myself because the battery on the camera died. So I'm gonna just continue where I left off yesterday. I took out the crank, it's laying on the floor there. I'm just gonna clear off my table. I want to actually just grab the head, just dive into that, just check and make sure the valves are all okay, and start taking out the valve stem seal. Well, I just want to check one of the valve stem seals, and then when the kit comes I will completely disassemble it, because I don't want to mix my valves up and I don't want to mix my springs and stuff up. I want to keep everything to the way they were, just so that I don't have issues later on down the line. So yeah, this is it this morning. I'm gonna jump into the head in a couple of minutes. I just want to clear my table off quickly, get all my things organized, and make this mess look a little bit better, and then I'll bring you guys back in a couple of seconds. I'll see you now. Hi guys, okay, clean my table up nicely. As you can see, there's nothing laying around anymore, no more oil, no nothing, just a block. I need to get these cylinders honed out a little bit later. I'll do that just now, but I want to show you guys something quickly. See how the carbon built up. Let me try and see if I can get these things to flake off. How it's got carbon build up from those oil rings that collapsed. She's rather nasty, really nasty. Anyway, but it's only cylinder number 1 that's so bad. The other ones do have a little bit, but it's not too bad. This one got a little bit of a whitish residue to that, but otherwise it's not too bad. I had a bit of a heating issue. I see some of my ports are not really all that nicely open. This one as well, it's rather rusty inside. The previous owner didn't have antifreeze or anything like that in the engine. I've got a 5 liter of antifreeze right over there, which is going inside the cooling system once this vehicle is back up and running, to make sure that there's no rust forming and heat issues and stuff like that. So what I'll be doing now is I'm going to throw some petrol in these little valves to try and sorry for that, to try and see if any of the valves are giving me any issues, and then I'll be cleaning out these ports nicely, opening them up. On the block itself, the ports are not looking bad at all, a little bit cruddy, but we'll be cleaning that. I'll be cleaning these to make sure that we don't have any water issues or anything like that. So yeah, let me set you guys up in the stand, and then I'm gonna grab some petrol and throw it down, and then we'll see if we have any leaky valves. So give me a second, I'll be with you now. Alright guys, let's do this. Got a little bit of petrol here. Just filling up the cavities so that the valves are covered. There we go. And now we wait and see. We've got a leaky exhaust valve over here. I can try and reseat it. It's on cylinder number 2. Remember, the cylinder number 2's pressure was fairly low, so I'll pop that valve out, check it out, see if it's bent at all, or otherwise maybe it just has some crap underneath the seat, between the valve and the seat. Sometimes the carbon tends to go in when you fiddling with it. Maybe it's just something like that. Other than that, I don't see any of the fuel disappearing out of the other ports. So it's looking good. I suspect that this might have been where our starting issue have been. I might be wrong, but so far I can point to that. Alright, well, let me just clean the petrol out and get my valve removal tool. Just need to hunt for it, it's somewhere. And then we'll take that valve out and see what we can do. I'll bring you guys back in a second. Back a couple of hours later. Had a couple of errands to run. I have taken out one of the valves so long with my ancient but still working valve removal tool. These valve stem seals are rock hard. The valves are not looking bad at all. Most of them are not seating very nicely, so I'll have to reseat them, get them with some grinding paste and just clean them up nicely. So let me jump into that. This is cylinder number 4's intake valve. Is it? No. Yeah. Intake valve. And it's not too bad. Clean it up with a wire brush. And then we'll go on, we'll take the rest of them out. We'll clean the head up nicely. And we'll take it from there. So let me do that. And I'll bring you guys back in a minute or so. Guys, as you can see, I've removed the valves, I've cleaned it. The surface is nice and clean, nice and shiny, as well as over here. Cleaned it off nicely. Got some spray overspray here from giving it a bit of a lick of paint just to make it look neat. Yeah, at this stage I'm gonna call it a day. It is fairly later in the afternoon already, so I'm gonna leave it here, let it be, let it sit for a day or so. I have to wait for parts to come in. With us living in these small little towns, it's not always easy to get all the parts and the stuff that we need right away. Got my valves set out, marked out. So yeah, basically this is where I'm gonna stop for now. When I start getting my parts in and starting to assemble, I'll have you guys join me and we can wrench it up in the garage again and see what we can get up and sorted. Hopefully my parts will be here by tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so I'm holding thumbs. I was told that everything should be here by Wednesday, so yeah, let's hope it's gonna be here. If not, then we wait till it arrives. But yeah, the guy who usually gets my parts in, when he tells me that day, it's usually there that day, so I believe it will be here, and yeah, we can get it back together, put it back in, fire up and see how she runs. Anyway guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you for watching. Thumbs up are much appreciated, and subscribe if you haven't, and comments down below, always welcome. And I know I don't always respond to them. Sometimes I get a lot, and it's a little difficult to always answer the comments, but I'll try. Alright guys, thanks, bye bye.